last week and a half, I've had two different, I don't know if I would call them acquaintances or, colleagues. One was a referral and one was somebody that I've talked to that owns a business. I've had two people call me needing help for a product or an event, like right now. Like somebody was doing a grand reopening in a week, and they had ran into a client of mine and they said, hey, who does you guys a social? It looks really good. And thank you very much. Very kind. And so I was put in contact and they were worried about promoting an event that was going on in 1 week. And the same thing happened with another person that I know that does some e-com stuff. I got a text. It's like, I need help with SEO right now because we've got this product and it's almost identical to this other product. And this guy's product is seasonal and ours is year round. And I need help with SEO. And in my mind, at first I'm thinking, I don't think SEO is necessarily I don't think that's what you're meaning, but I'm also in my mind, I'm thinking, well, if you need help like right now, then you needed to have started a plan and working 6 months to a year ago, minimum. And this is a great time to talk about this because it's the end of the year and it's time to start thinking like, what are you going to do next year? Are you going to do the same thing you've always done? Then that's great if you're happy with where you are. But if not, don't be the person that is calling somebody who is a marketing expert or a guru or a strategist or whatever 5 minutes before you need something done, because they're either going to lie to you and take your money and probably fail. I mean, I don't know anything. You can't just turn a spigot on and get leads or purchases or whatever overnight. Like, that's just not how this works. And it's amazing to me how many people still don't understand that. And that also reminded me of a story from back when I was selling radio advertising the second time when I was older. I was about, late 30s, early 40s. And I'd done the music thing, came back to Kansas City, and I was working for a radio station here in town. And a call came in for, I think it was an HVAC company. It was a service-based business. And they had $5,000 that they wanted to spend in the next 2 weeks. And so I'm like, oh, this is great. It's a great lead. And so I went out and I met with them and I sat down and I said, well, really the way radio advertising works, we need to build it out. You need to basically build out your budget. I always tell people for a year, say, what can I afford to budget for a year? Say, okay, 60 grand, like it's $5,000 a month and it's 60 grand. Let's work backwards and let's figure out how to make that $60,000 work best for you. You know what I mean? But they said, no, we want to do this. We've got a special, or they had some offer that they wanted to test radio advertising for 2 weeks. And even though I knew that this wasn't going to work, and I told them like, well, that's not really how this works. They didn't want to hear it. All they wanted to do was test this. Now I am not the type of person who will take people's money just to take their money. I'm not going to sell somebody, I'm not going to let people put good money after bad, generally speaking. The other problem was I had a budget I had to hit, right? So I had a quarterly budget, a monthly budget, all these things. And the way this radio station had things set up this is a topic for a whole different podcast. But the way they had things set up was they would say, okay, your budget is $50,000, $100,000 a month. And if you hit that, then your commission is higher than if you miss it. So you were really incentivized to hit that number. But the bigger problem was the budget that they gave you, there was no set rule. It wasn't 5% more than last year, 10% more than last year. There was no fixed number. They just pull this budget out of the sky and be like, you need to hit this number. And I'm like, well, how the hell am I supposed to hit it? Well, you got to figure it out. And it's like, you're going to get 8% if you don't hit it, 10% if you do hit it, and like 12% if you go over or whatever. I can't remember the exact setup, but that's kind of the way the structure was. So this is another reason why you don't want to be in a hurry, because if you call somebody who is a sales rep for maybe an agency or a media company or whatever, and you say, I've got $5,000, I want to spend it right now. That person needs to hit their budget, right? They need to sell $50,000 that month, $80,000, $100,000, whatever it is. And your $5,000 for them, they're put in a terrible position. As a sales rep, you're in a shitty position because you're either going to make your number and take $5,000 from the client when you know it's probably not going to work. They're not going to get a return on their investment at all. Or you tell them, keep your money, which you know they're going to take and spend somewhere else because these people were going to spend this money and they were going to run this test, as they put it. So really, that's the situation where you're going to find sales reps out there who they're put in a position to where they have to choose to either succeed on their own and maybe not do what's best for their client, or lose the money, not make the money, and do the right thing. And it's a god awful position to be in. It's a terrible. There were several things I did not like about that situation, and one of the things was the pay structure, where I couldn't understand how you would just come up with the arbitrary budget. I mean, I could, again, if you said, well, you need to improve 10% year over year, I get that. Like, okay, well, yeah, I need to be going, but just to pull a number where it could be a 50% increase, and there's for no reason, I couldn't understand it. But my point is, do not let it get to the point where you are where you have to have marketing work in a short time frame. Don't ever put yourself in that situation, because I've never seen it work. I've never seen it. I've never seen things just, like I said, you don't just turn on the marketing spigot and all of a sudden leads or customers or prospects or whatever you want to call it start rolling in. It takes time and it takes strategy, and it's a good reason to start planning for these things in advance.